Good day everyone, it's Warren here from NQ Explorers. Today Colin and I are at the site of a former end-of-line railway station that was closed in 1960. It didn't come through this area until the 1920s here in Queensland, and it was one of those branch lines that was kind of a pioneer line. It was built very late in the piece and was never very economical, but was put in as a community service like most of those early railway lines were. Now, if you're not familiar with the Queensland railways in Queensland are built to the gauge of 3 feet 6 inches or 1067 millimetres, 3 feet 6. The reason that the Queensland colony built 3 feet 6 railway gauge, narrow gauge, is because of the size of Queensland's enormous compared to the two wealthy southern colonies, New South Wales and Victoria. Victoria went with 5 foot 3 broad gauge, the Irish gauge, and New South Wales standard gauge, 4 foot 8.5. Now all the state capitals are linked by 4 foot 8.5 inch gauge, but Australian railway gauges have always been a real issue. There's always been changes at the border because every state's got different railway gauges. Well, the colonies did. When we federated, well, there was issues. So what Queensland did was they built the world's largest narrow gauge mainline network. 10,500 kilometres, or about 6,500 miles of railway to 3 foot 6 inch, and they've stayed with the 3 foot 6 inch gauge. There's still a standard gauge, there is a standard gauge link to Sydney via the border loop into Brisbane, but all the heavy coal trains all through Queensland with these massive coal resources in the Bowen Basin are all 3 feet 6 inch gauge electrified. So these old pioneer lines were built as 3 feet 6 inch gauge surface lines, pretty much built as tramways in a lot of places, followed the natural contours of the land, tried to avoid massive earthworks and tunnels, and this is one of those lines. It had 3 trains a week, mixed goods trains, and a rail motor came on Fridays for the local population. The trouble with this spot we're in, where the line ended, is not actually a town. It's just a rural locality, well used by the farmers and the produce at the time, sheep, cattle, a lot of cream traffic, timber, that sort of thing. But by 1960s, road transport had eaten away at that, and like most countries after World War II, branch line railways sort of disappeared. So I've got some old aerial photographs of the site were taken in the 40s by the RAF, probably a Spitfire or Beaufort or something, got 10,000 feet, very high resolution. We had a small railway station, an earth platform. Queensland generally built ground level platforms, not so much the brick-faced big railway platforms you'd be used to, more like a ground level system. There was a little shelter shed, a couple of linesmen's huts and 2 houses. Now over this way was the station master's house, and in that direction was another house on one of the side country roads. I'm not sure, that could have been a gatekeeper because there was a level crossing there. So there could have been 2 railway staff, or the engineman, fireman, guard lived out here and worked the line from the end of the branch line. I think that was the case early on, and eventually it was the crews were relocated into town and they worked the branch line about 50 miles out from the other end. So what we're working at today is the railway station and goods shed. There's some nice old historic remnants of the engine ash pit. There's a turning triangle. I'll walk you down there later and we'll have a look at that, see what infrastructure's left. Not much, I'd guess. And the station master's house. So thanks for joining us in the video, and hope we make some nice finds to keep you entertained. Back shortly. Well, here's my first target of the day. It's a large brass wing nut out on what would have been the platform formation. A bit of an earth mound between the track and the loop line. Definitely railway related, that one. Okay, so what you can see here is the remains of the Locomotive Ash Pit. You can see that's where the rails were. This is the pit that's been filled in where they used to dump the ash. And there was a turning triangle down in here. We'll go for a walk down in there later and have a look and see if we can investigate where the end of the buffer stop was on the turning triangle. So this is the very end of the branch, and locomotives returned, dropped their ash here, coal and water, and head back up this way. So as you can see, it's collapsed. I don't think there was a shed over it. It was just an open pit to my knowledge that I can see from old photographs. So interesting bit of infrastructure here in the bush. And the line ended about 100 metres that way. It was never built any further than that in 1922. Okay, adjacent to the locomotive pit, I've got something round. It's not a coin, it was only a 69. I'm not sure what it is. It's still got the soil on it. And some sort of clip on the back. Maybe some sort of railway tag or something. Or, there's no design on it, I don't think. Maybe it's some sort of pin or tack. It's brass or copper. Not sure what that is. I say it's attached. Could have been a tarp attachment or something back in the early 1900s off a railway wagon or something. I'm not really sure. I don't think there's any writing or branding on it, but interesting little artefact really. So I'm standing on the railway ash pit now. Down in the bush here behind us was a railway house that I got from an old aerial photograph in the 40s. So once we've done the railway station area for a couple of hours, we'll head down and have a look if we can find that old railway house down there. It was gone by the 1960s. Everything was demolished when the railway was closed, and the government just took everything away, relocated the buildings or bulldozed what was left. But I just got another one of these giant, what look like push pin type arrangements. Not sure what it is. Definitely something to do with the locomotive depot, but who knows? Could be tarpaulin related, I'm thinking. Okay, there's the ash pit area. I've got a few of those weird stud round things. Look like pins. I don't know what they are. Anyway, that's the direction of the old house. I was heading down this way to have a bit of a scout. Well, I'm not going into that area yet because Colin's still up on the platform. But I just got the first coin of the day. Looks like a halfpenny. It was a 76 signal. Typical for an Australian kangaroo halfpenny. Let's get it up close and have a look at it. Okay, so there she is. This railway station was closed in 1960 and was opened in 1922, so I guess the coin's in that range somewhere. Let's give it a clean and find out what date it is. Okay, there's a halfpenny. It's a King George V. I think it's 1921. I've just given it a bush clean. Won't clean it properly till I get home with a bit of soapy water and a toothbrush. That's all we ever do. Sometimes I put a bit of olive oil on them if they've got a bit of copper cancer, but this one's in great nick. Look at the patina. So that's, I think it's 1921. That'll be KG5 right there. Nice one. Anyway, Colin's reported a find up on the platform. Let's head over that way. Okay, Colin's got a report here with the apex. What do you got? You got a coin?
Yeah, it's a coin. It's coming about 82, 85.
Yeah.
But
it's not silver.
No, it might be 2 cents.
You think it's 2 cents? So
it might be a bit big, I
don't know. No verdict yet. Let's give it a clean first and we'll make a decision. I think it may be 2 cents. Okay, it is 2 cents. Colin's on the board with a coin though. It's a Queen Elizabeth. You can see her looking to the right there, so it's a 2 cent coin. Interesting that you had, now you got the apex this morning. It was a multi-frequency, but you changed that.
Yeah, I had to change it. It was a bit noisy, so I changed the frequencies
to 15 kilohertz.
15, yeah.
The reason being that we were directly under power lines here, and the machine was a little bit chattery. We went to 15 kilohertz single frequency, and it killed that off.
Yeah.
As we move, I'll go back to multi. Where I am now, I can just see the formation of the turning triangle. It runs through there, and then the other arms there, and the end buffers would have been down in there. So that old railway house is in this area, past that big gum. This line was laid with mainline rails, but wasn't ballasted very heavily. It was mostly just natural earth formation. That's why we're not seeing a lot of ballast. There is some light gravelling, but most of it's just natural formation because they were built as pioneer lines to save money. Well, since the last time I've dug another of those, or actually two of those large thumbtack looking things. Here we've got a lovely high 70s signal, and we've got another halfpenny. I think this is a KG5, a KG6. So this will be a kangaroo halfpenny. And the date will be really interesting because, like I said, the line closed in 1960. Let's have a look at the date. Okay, here we are. There you can see King George VI looking to the left, and under the kangaroo's tail here will be the date. Let's have a look at that again. There's KG6. Flip him over. We'll get us a bush clean and we'll get a date. You might be able to see it there anyway. Well, that was a quick bush clean. I think it's a 46 or a 48. I can't quite read it. I'm sure you'll be able to see it there now. Kangaroo halfpenny. The date will be there under the kangaroo's tail hopping to the right. Nice one. Okay, I'm not far from the halfpenny, probably about a metre. Not the cleanest of signals. Might go live on this though. No, I'm getting a lot of iron now. I liked it better before. That's cleaner there. No, it's all over the place. Anyway, we'll do a live dig and see what it is, just so you can get some feel of what we're actually experiencing out here. Like, not every dig's a coin or a great object. It won't be far down. It's not much depth on any of the targets so far. As you can hear, a bit of tone roll on the max there, so yeah, I'm only getting a 67 now. It was pinging into the 80s at one point, but here it is. This is typical of what you'd find on these sites. It's the lead top of an old corrugated iron roofing nail. Typical of this target ID on that sort of thing. Lead. Okay, we're going to head over into the railway house area on the other side of that turning triangle. There's quite a few of these medium-sized termite mounds in this area, so if the railways hadn't demolished those buildings and taken them away, the termites would have done so by now, because the branch line's been closed for 60 years. Righto, Colin's about to shed some light on those giant thumbtack style things we've been finding.
That's the first one I found there, and it's got written on it Hardy's Fibro Cement.
Okay, so
just
must have been fibro cement roofing nails, were they? I guess.
Yeah, or
somehow they fixed it. Oh yeah, it's quite clear on there, isn't it?
Yeah, bit of a...
That, well, the station opened in 1922. I wonder if they date from then. You wouldn't think so, but perhaps they do.
Yeah, there's quite a few of them I found.
Yep. Well, they were all around that locomotive pit. Maybe it had a roof on it.
Yeah, mainly over that area.
Okay, this remote spot in the bush is the end of the line on the side of the old railway house. I can see a bit of galvanised iron over there. We'll come down here, we'll just do a little bit of a walkthrough before we do any detecting. Here's the back fence, and that was evident on the 1940s aerial photograph of the area. Barbed wire fence. That's the back fence of the house, of the property, which clearly showed up on that photograph, courtesy of some Spitfire from the RAAF. Look at that old rusty old bucket. Posts. Possibly one of the old house posts. I don't think it would have been a Queenslander style government building, but it wouldn't have been really high set, probably low set. Probably a couple of feet off the ground just to get a bit of a cooling breeze underneath it. The back fence still continues through there, and up in this area here was the actual structure on the photograph. See, there's another bit of bucket or something there. Well, you wouldn't even know. Well, here's a bit of concrete. Some more evidence of this broken concrete, possibly front steps. So this would have been the station master's house from 1922 onwards till the station was abandoned in 1960. Yeah, a bit of iron there. See, there's not much left of it. Let's see what the metal detectors will reveal. Well, Colin's on Apex over here. She's just yelled hay. I don't know what it is, because she's studying something, obviously. What do you got?
This was just actually on the ground there under some leaves. I thought it was one of those Hardy's nails, you know, the ones we were talking about before.
Looks to be a halfpenny to me.
Yeah, but I don't think it is. It does look like a coin.
Hang on, we're getting close. Right. What was your target ID?
82.
I think it's a halfpenny. I think it's, I don't, has it got a milled edge? It could be. No, it hasn't got a milled edge, it's not a shilling. Well, let's give it a bush clean and find out what it is. Nice work. So you're getting the date there?
I think it's 1942.
42 halfpenny.
I think so, yeah.
So that's kind of a random drop from the station back to the station master's house.
Yeah. Be interesting little area, isn't it?
Yeah. Nice work. That's an apex find. Here's a surface find under these little gum leaves. Possibly clock related, I'm not really sure. Some sort of component part. But I'm just working towards the back fence of the house. Logic being there'd be a clothesline somewhere in there. I'm about 10 metres off the fence post. Anyway, Colin's called out over here on Apex. She's got another find. Let's go and have a look at that before we have a look at my 75 target. I've dug it out of the ground. It's in the mullock heap. I love hunting these old house sites. You just don't know what you're going to find. And often you find old military relics, because many of these railway personnel or the general population in the 1920s, of course, most of the men were veterans of the First World War. So it's quite possible to find military relics such as rising suns and army buttons, because they brought their old uniforms home and they wore them around the farm often in the cold weather. So what do you got here, Colleen?
It's like a little weight or something.
Oh,
It's a little bell shape.
is it lead?
Yeah, I think it's lead.
That's
Pretty high.
possibly something to do with the railway weighing the... Oh, well, why would you weigh freight that small? They work in tons on railways.
Don't know.
Strange. It's handmade by the look of it. Wouldn't be a fishing sinker, would it?
No, I don't think so. Not that shape.
There's not a river near here, so... Okay, well that's a nice one. Okay, let's head back over to see what I've got in this mullock heap. Now a 75, every chance there's going to be another halfpenny. But it could be a, like the roots have had a scratch around this fallen little sapling. Looking for grubs and worms, I suppose, or whatever. Wouldn't be a roo, probably a echidna or something. Yeah, okay, so I'm in the backyard here. This was all cleared, of course. These trees have grown since 1960. Would have been every chance there was a lawn with kids running around in the backyard. So in this mullock heap here, oh, it's only a 3-inch scrape. So pretty good 75. Let's have a look. Get the pinpointer out. And see what we come out of here. It's only, oh, look at this. It's a grommet. So there's been an old tarp or something down here. Solid looking grommet too. Could be off, that could be off a railway tarp. Okay, Colleen on Apex has got something else. Some mysteries come out of the ground. You've dropped it. Oh, okay. Is it, oh. I thought that was like out of a cordial bottle or something. It's hard though, it's not foil. Okay, we'll give it a bush clean. What was the target ID?
Oh, I forget now.
Okay, we just had a little meeting in the bush and we swapped machines. Colleen's on max. Straight away she yells out she gets a coin. I've got the Apex, but it's behind me in the bush there. What's your numbers?
76.
This is going to be another halfpenny, is it?
Yeah.
I can't believe how many out here.
Look at it there.
Oh yeah, nice work.
They're not very deep or anything.
No, it's pretty hard ground, eh? Okay, I'll give him a bush clean, and this is halfpenny number 4 from the old. We're over near the railway station master's house at the moment. Okay, here's Colleen's second halfpenny. Give it a bush clean. It's a kangaroo, King George VI, so another 40s coin, I think. Which sort of date we expected. These are the sort of coins we expected. 20s into the 50s and 60s.
Could be 41.
Okay. Nice work.
Okay, so this is my next find. It's a cog. Part of a clock or something. Wasn't far away from that last halfpenny I found, so I'll continue on in this area. Okay, this was my next find, just near that cog from the clock, and it's actually looks like it's a pullback from a cap gun, possibly 1920s, 30s, 40s, something like that. So that's the lever they pull back. Yeah, there's a little indentations on it. Yeah, cool find.
Okay, I'll just go for a walk down this engine triangle. I'll just set the detector up for a minute. We just had a bit of lunch. Corned beef and pickle sandwich, which is nice. But what I'll do, I'll just walk down the end of this engine triangle, see if we can find any old buffer stops or any infrastructure. Well, straight away I found something here. There's a sleeper. That's the first sleeper I've seen on the site. Someone's maybe used it as a fence post. It's got still 2 dog spikes in it there. Interesting. So, head down this way. There's not really any ballast, it's just earth. There's some native rock here that they've used to some little effect, I suppose. And we're coming down. Now on our left over here is the other side of the triangles coming in. For our American viewers, you'd call this a Y. We call it a turning triangle here in Australia. So, the second leg of the triangle just joined the first just now. So there should be enough room up in this shunting neck for a locomotive. Yep, you can see the embankment here. We'll just keep walking on here and see what we can discover. As you can see, the ground drops away in front of us, so they've had to build this up. As I said earlier, these pioneer lines, they really minimise the earthworks. They really didn't want to spend a lot of money, because the colony of Queensland, when it broke away from New South Wales, was pretty much dirt broke until they discovered gold at Gympie. And then all the Queensland gold rushes started and all the wealth started flowing in then. But one of the reasons they built these pioneer lines was to narrow gauge, because they didn't want to expend a lot of money on it. Here you can see I'm on quite a bit of an embankment now. This is interesting. Look, there's a termite mound, and an echidna's burrowed into it to eat the white ants. Look at that. He's really hammered that one. Only a few days ago too. Nice. There's a good bit of steam engine coal. That's beautiful coking coal. Look at that. Or steaming coal. That's a beautiful piece of coal. Nice. Yeah, so this is where the locomotives, PB15s I think work this line probably, which is a standard Queensland branch line engine, steam engine. To save running 10 to first back home, they'd come in and turn around here. This is all just ash, this embankment. We're actually getting quite high now. Actually, it's got quite a bit of length here. They could probably nearly turn a train around, given that the trains on this branch in the 20s wouldn't have been massive length, and there was restricted tonnage because of the timber trestles and the size of the locomotives pulling the trains, of course. And there was some steep grade. Ruling grade on this line was 1 in 30, which is quite steep. So quite possible you could turn a whole train around in here and then run the engine around it up at the loop at the station. We're nearly at the end now. Big trees come over the end of the line there. And negotiate this little jigsaw puzzle of fallen trees. And it looks like we're going to be thwarted by Lantana. Yeah, right at the end here. Yeah, look at the size of that tree that's coming down across this. Wow. Get really violent thunderstorms here. No, this is the end of the embankment. We've made it. I thought there might have been a buffer stop, but they probably pulled that up and took it with them too. Well, they could have just been a pile of sleepers. So as you can see, there's nothing here. And this is what they built the railway line to serve this. Didn't go anywhere. Hence, it did serve the rural area and the local populace appreciated it, but of course by the 1950s, after World War II, when there was lots of affluence and people had private cars and the roads were all getting better, these rural branch lines became extinct, and hence you get this scene. Nice bit of history though, out in the middle of the bush, where once there's a lot of steam, noise and activity. Okay, I'm in the apex now in multi-frequency. I've just got a silver coin, and based on the target ID of 7071, I'd say it'd be a 50% silver. Sixpence, post 46. That's definitely what it's going to be. It's got a milled edge. So it'll be a 46 onwards sixpence. Don't forget we got up till 1960 for use of this site, so anywhere in that period. Let's give it a bush clean and get it up close. Well, there she is. It's a 1958 sixpence, absolutely glorious. That'll be 50% silver, hence the 70 target ID on the apex in the multi-frequency mode. There's QE2 looking right. What a ripper that is. Okay, we've got another coin here. The deepest target I've dug all day. It's quite soft and loamy in here. That's the turning triangle up in that where those saplings are. I'm sort of between the turning triangle and the house. Our theory is there's a side gate. Getting a few coins in this spot here. This is about 9 inches down. I've got multi on apex. And we've got this coin. Big old penny. I just love these things. That looks like it's a Commonwealth penny. Let's hope it's 1930. Looks to have a lovely patina under there too. Give it a bush clean and have a look at it. Well, there she is in the control box of the apex. I believe it to be a 1935 Commonwealth penny in glorious condition. I can see the patina under there is just lovely. So that's a nice find. We're finding all these coins in this one area off to the side of the house, between the house and the railway station, which makes logical sense, I guess.
79.85.
Could be another halfpenny or a penny.
It's saying 15 centimetres, so.
Well, it might just be tiny. Now, note today, Colin's got that Brux pick. It's Queensland made. And it's pink because all the proceeds from it go to breast cancer research, which is nice. Oh, yeah. Copper wire. I find a lot of that. Obviously railway related, eh?
Yeah, I haven't found that one before. Yeah.
It's nicely, beautifully braided.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, that's the Brux pick. So that's for breast cancer research.
And it's really well weighted. It feels really good.
Yeah, they're a nice pick. It's I think it's a plough disc top, spotted gum handle, really good weight and size.
Yeah.
Okay, this target here, I've scraped back the leaf litter, target ID of 92. So it's either going to be, okay, what are we revealing here? Look, it's a big round thing. What's it going to be? Biggest coin ever found. Or some sort of copper disc or something. What is this? Okay, I'll just prise it out with the pick here. Oh, it's a drum bung. There we go. Off a 44-gallon drum. It'll be a ream, or probably an Australian ream. Oh, that's old. It's got a big R on it. I guess that's not the ream logo, though, is it? Probably a ream, I'm going to guess. Here's a whole bit of infrastructure under the line. The remains of a concrete culvert, long since silted up. So this is the line into the station area and the turning triangle right there. So the points were just about here. Where we're standing would have been the throw-over points for the loop line, for the turning triangle, and the station and engine pit just up there. Okay, after lunch we've moved into an area which I think was a second house, which is like the train crew house. It's got this was a high tone 70s, just a disc, alloy disc. It's quite stiff though, with some holes punched in it. If there's any writing on it, I'll subtitle it, but I don't think so. Well, here's my next target from what I'm calling the train crew house. Pretty sure it's a tablespoon coming out in the backyard. And there we go. I'll get a hallmark off that. Let's get it out in the sun, in the shade there. Yeah, that's better. Sun just burst out from behind the clouds. I'll get a hallmark off it and we might be able to get a date, but it's probably 20s or 30s. Okay, here's my next recovery at the train crew house. There's an 85 on the apex and we have a penny. Look at that. Nice. Actually, I just want to show you this spot. There seem to be a lot of targets here. I'll clean this in a minute and get a date, but I just want to show you what signals I'm getting in this one spot. I'll just show you what I'm getting here. That's the hole where I dug the penny. I haven't backfilled it. That was an 80, but here got another high 80s. Very repeatable. I walked into this spot under this old sapling and it sounded like multiple targets. Because it's a reasonably large coil actually, this Viper. It covered a bit of ground, so I've got a few targets and it was giving me a lot of target IDs under this tree, and hence there were 2 coins, 2 highly conductive targets. So let's have a look here. Pretty sure it's going to be a 2 coin spill. Won't be very deep. Could be the clothesline right in the backyard of what the house was, as shown on the old aerial photograph. Yeah, I think it's going to be another penny. Just pull this clay up around it, and here we have what? Yes, we've got another penny. 2 coin spill. What a ripper. I think they're both kangaroo pennies. We'll just check these holes, make sure there's, yeah, I can see there's a tail, and that's kangaroo. We'll just check the area, make sure there's no more coins, and I'll give you some dates on these. Okay, there's my 2 penny spill. I've determined one's a 1951, and the other one I'm not sure. I'll subtitle that, but you might be able to see it there. Both from the end of the period of the use of this area. The station houses were gone by 1960, so this is typical of what you find around the clothesline, I guess. 2 penny spill with the apex, nice. Okay, well, we're going to wrap it up, everyone. Hope you enjoyed that little video. We found a nice run of coins at the old station, Colleen.
Yeah, no, it's good fun.
I think we'll call that part 1, because part 2 we can definitely do a couple more videos in here. We only just started on that second crew house side, as I called it. Got a couple of pennies and a spoon, so we'll be back. Thanks for watching, everyone, and happy fossicking. Bye for now.